So what about this stuff? So if all of that is true, what is it about these diets that works? Why did the Atkins diet work for people? Why does it continue to work for people? What's that bottom line? If they followed the diet and they lost weight, what must have happened?
Low calories.
They burned more calories than they consumed. And we'll look at that in just a moment, the average calorie consumption for the various most popular fad diets. I call them fad diets because very, very few people actually follow them for an extended period of time, certainly not as a lifestyle. There's lots of people that say they do. But my experience is if you actually analyze how they're eating, it resembles the diet they say they're following, not at all. Like if you actually followed one of the example menus in the Zone diet, you're not following a diet that's 40% carbohydrates, 30% protein, 30% fat. It's closer to 25, 55, 20. But they say 40, 30, 30 because it's easy to remember. It's much easier to remember than those other percentages. Most of them work because they're a disguised low-calorie diet. Often it's a little bit of good science pulled out of context and wrapped up in a good marketing gimmick. So the high-protein, low-carb diets, same idea. They take that little bit of science, ketosis, the process of converting proteins to carbohydrates for energy. That's really all you're doing. Now remember, that protein is no longer available because it's not protein anymore. It's no longer available to do all those other things like rebuild muscle. You're forcing your body to do something that it only is able to do to fight starvation. It's a disease process, but it's natural. So is cancer. Not necessarily a good plan. All right, so pull a little bit of science out of context, wrap it up in a good marketing gimmick. Yes, ketosis will work. It's not necessarily a good idea for a very long time. And if you actually analyze the diet, really, it's just a low-calorie diet wrapped up in a good marketing gimmick. Same thing with the Zone, though there's nothing wrong with it necessarily. Most people aren't going to be unhealthy, just most people aren't going to follow it for a long period of time. So then they have to learn a new eating habit to maintain their change. I don't know, throw one out there. What's popular right now? Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers is huge, and it should be if you go to the meetings. If you don't go to the meetings, don't bother. Because it's yet another low-calorie diet wrapped up in really great marketing. Now, I say that, and I want to backpedal from that a little bit. I really respect the Weight Watchers organization, and lots of people achieve tremendous success with them, mainly if they're also going to the meetings. Did any of you buy into, what was that Suzanne Summers thing? Thigh Master. Remember this thing? Oh, yeah, right. None of you did. I'm not going to admit to it because he said buy in. Or how about the Ab Lounger? I just saw that one the other day on satellite. That was cool. My parents had the 1970s version of that. You know what I'm talking about? It's basically, it looks like a cot that folds in half and it's on a little tripod. But it can work my side abs too. And it gets my upper and lower abs, which there's no such thing. It's another pet peeve of mine. It's one muscle from top to bottom on either side of the body's midline. It's just segmented like those bendy straws. And it's still one muscle. There's no such thing as upper and lower abdominal muscles. There's inner and outer. There's external and internal obliques, but that's another class. All right. These apparatus are sold by the millions. Why? Why do we buy these things? What's that?
We want a six-pack.
We want a six-pack of... Everybody wants to see those abs. What about, you remember the little electrical stem belts? Yeah. Make the abs quiver, and I'm working my abs while I'm working on the computer. And actually, it turns out that the major manufacturer of those got busted by the Federal Trade Commission because the voltage that was being put out by that belt did not remotely stand a chance of causing enough electrical stimulation to cause any significant calorie expenditure. It's an involuntary contraction. It doesn't burn any calories. That contraction is caused 100% because of electrical signal, not because of any calorie expenditure on the body's part. So you can do that all day long. I mean, you can go out and grab my car battery and the same thing will happen, just to your whole body. Not really as good a result, and maybe cause a burn here or there, but you know, that'll actually burn some calories in the healing. We buy into them because we want this. We want that six-pack. I don't really care about the body fat I've got on the bottom of my butt cheeks. I want to be able to see these. I want to be able to see that six-pack. My shorts will cover that. So based on that, all I should have to do is that ab lounger for the next 8 hours, 6 days a week, for however many days, and I'll have that, right? Is it because, if that actually worked, is it because of the particular movement that was performed? Is it because I did that little V-up that actually doesn't cause any abdominal flexion? If it worked, what had to have happened? You know the answer. Why? If I lost fat, what must I have done? Burn more calories than I consumed. And if the ab lounger helped, all it was exercise. It just happened to be a particular exercise. Let me put this in perspective. If working a particular muscle group burned fat off the top of that muscle group, how lean would my face be? I talk a lot every day, and it's not working out, and I keep trying. It's just not happening. Everybody who overeats would have a really skinny face from all the chewing. Every postal person would just be shredded from all the walking that they do, at least in the neighborhood where my studio is. It's not working. Spot reduction doesn't work. Spot surgery does, but I don't encourage that because it's got some really nasty side effects. Spot reducing, working a particular muscle group in the hopes of changing the body fat over the top of that area doesn't work. We didn't get to decide where we put the fat, although, man, that'd be cool. We didn't get to decide how we stored the fat. We don't get to decide where we burn it off of, not where we burn it off of. That's what plastic surgeons are for. Don't do that. Pills, don't take them. They don't work. There were some that did work. You remember when ephedra was out there? Ephedra worked because it was a fantastic appetite suppressant. And whew, man, it was like crack. Tremendous stimulant. You moved more, you ate less, but you didn't learn a new habit. So most people, when they went off of it, gained back the weight. And Americans being Americans, if something's good, man, more's better. So that's where people started running into problems. They'd look at the label and go, well, if I'm supposed to take 1 capsule for best results, if I take 6 capsules, I'll get maximum results. And I'll be highly productive. It didn't work. There's no such thing as a pill that's going to help unless somehow that pill affects that equation. It's got to affect the calories outside or the calories inside. It's got to help you burn more or consume less if it's going to help you lose fat in any way. And thus far, no one has created any supplement that all by its lonesome affects either side of that equation significantly. Now, there definitely are substances and, combinations of substances that do help. They help. That's the key word. They're still called supplements for a reason. They're supposed to be in addition to what you're doing with food and exercise. And I would submit to you that you don't need them in relation to fat loss, with the possible exception of multivitamin. So where do we turn? Well, as Americans, we tend to turn to whatever the latest fad is, whatever the latest diet is. And again, those are generally just low-calorie diets wrapped up in a really good marketing gimmick. Anybody remember the Pritikin diet? Okay, you don't have to raise your hands, that would kind of date you. The Pritikin diet was really very popular in the early to mid-70s. It was originally just like the Atkins diet. It was a post-cardiac surgery diet. The idea was most people that were having the heart attacks at the time, they were having heart attacks because they were overweight and they had high cholesterol. And the Pritikin diet was designed to drop your weight very quickly and tank your cholesterol levels very quickly. It was a very high fiber, high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein diet. It was never intended to be something that everybody followed. But Dr. Pritikin said, there may be a market in this. All of my patients are losing a tremendous amount of weight right now. And so he wrote a book. He never wrote the book saying this is a good diet plan. He wrote the book saying this is a good way to make you more heart healthy. The grapefruit diet has never actually been owned up to by anyone. But if you actually follow this thing, you'll get really good canker sores and less body fat. Because that's pretty much what you follow. And please don't ever, ever, ever follow the cabbage soup diet. No one will want to be in your house or near you. It's a really low-calorie diet, but good Lord, does it smell.